Hi, this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. And so we're going to get right to it with our first question. So question number 1, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Henry O'Connell. I'm the founder and CEO of Canary Speech. Canary Speech is a company that focuses on the analysis of speech for human condition and disease.
That sounds pretty intricate. So kind of cutting edge area, it sounds like somewhat.
It is. It's fun.
That's awesome. All right. Question number 2. What's the best thing about being a business leader?
I think the best thing is that you get to work with bright and wonderful people. Our team around me is excellent, and they're wonderful people in general, but they're bright, they're energetic, they're enthusiastic. I often tell them I used to think of myself as a scientist in the room, and I no longer do. I think of myself as a leader, but I think of myself as someone who helps coordinate and help them move forward, removing barriers so they can be successful at what they're doing.
That's awesome. And it sounds like you get to see a lot of progress and a lot of new things coming out.
You do, and it's just exciting for all of us.
That's really cool. All right, question number 3. I hear from other leaders that their people strategy often is more of a struggle than their business strategy in their business. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe that having the right talent in the company is critical. If you're seeking to have individuals that are intelligent, thoughtful, creative, you also have to provide those individuals with the support and the space to function. And often in our position as CEOs, we'd like to have a little more stability or control than is capable when you hire bright minds to do creative new things. And the two sometimes seem at odds. They're not. What's at odds is remembering that the talent you hired needs your full support.
I like that. Very well said. Awesome. All right. So question number 4. What strategy would you like to share with other business leaders today?
Well, one of the things that I'd like to talk about today is how we envision taking a new technology to the point where it's the standard in the industry. My business partner and co-founder, Jeff Adams, was the individual that created the Amazon Echo. The Amazon Echo today has over 100 million units sold in languages across the world, more than I know. In fact, probably about 165 different languages it functions in. It required the development of new technology called far-field speech. Prior to their endeavor, it did not exist. When we approached this subject, Jeff and I, we asked ourselves what technology is required in order to properly analyze conversational speech for human disease, such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, depression, or even human conditions such as anxiety and stress, cognitive function, and to do that effectively on smart devices. What we believed was that the technology to accomplish that didn't yet exist. Today, Canary has 7 patents. We approached this in a manner that was unique enough that in Japan, Europe, and the US, our initial patents received 100% of their claims. There was no prior art in a field that had 10,000 or more patents. Our approach was unique, but our approach was then proven in clinical studies to be effective in providing independent assessments that aligned with clinical diagnosis. So a strategy had to include creating new technology that could be patented in multiple jurisdictions across the world to become a standard, could be validated against the current used technology, building a bridge to your new technology, and then implemented in a way that could be effective, cost-effective, create a positive value to the organizations, the hospitals, and the clinical people who use it. So our approach was create new technology, patent that technology, align that technology with current accepted uses in the markets that we target, validate that that technology was effective and added value, and then make it cost effective enough that it could be ubiquitous across multiple languages. Today we operate in 3 languages, and we're currently working on adding 17 more.
Well, that's a cool story. And part of what I like about that is the underlying message there in part is you're in it for the long play, meaning, you didn't know how long it would take to develop some of those technologies. And, business doesn't always happen overnight. It's not the overnight successes. It takes a while, and to have the patience, but truly have the passion and the vision to see it all the way through. That's incredible.
Well, I appreciate that, and I agree with you.
All right. Question number 5. What other successful business leaders, owners, CEOs like yourself would you like to acknowledge and you think should be on the podcast?
Well, I've mentioned my business partner, Jeff Adams. Jeff and I met 35 years ago when he was at the NSA and I was at the National Institutes of Health. Jeff left there and worked with Ray Kurzweil to develop natural language processing. He went on to develop every major speech advancement in the field. He developed speech to text. He developed natural medical language recognitions, medical dictation software, and then, as I mentioned, far-field speech when the Amazon Echo was developed. So Jeff Adams has been an inspiration to me and a dear friend for many, many years, not just because he's my business partner, but because honestly, he simply has contributed his entire life to the field.
It sounds like it would be a fun person to talk to. So yeah, we'll have to reach out to him and see what he'll say about being on. So question number 6, just a fun final question. Tell me about your favorite past boss.
I was raised by a single mom. My dad passed away when I was 8. And so I had early influences in my life that were critical and important. Let me just tell you of one. His name was Jack Shea. And I'm old enough that Jack served in the Army and probably in World War II, as my father did. Some of these people are heroic beyond mention, to be honest. They were heroes. Jack Shea took me under his wing. He, in junior high, he pulled me on to the soccer team. Our high school was state champions. I thought, my golly, I'm going to play on a state championship soccer team. 9th grade, I had played every game from 7th through 9th. We were in a junior high school. And in 9th grade, Jack pulled me aside and he said to me, Henry, you're never going to be any good at soccer. And I had started every match for 3 years. But he said, you're never going to be any good at soccer, but you could run all day long. Now, I've talked to the track and cross country coach in the high school, and I want you to go out for cross country when they make the announcement. And I said to him, well, what is cross country? He said, don't worry, it's running, just go out for it. I was an NCAA All-American in college. I set 32 course records and ran in the 80 and 84 Olympic trials. Because Jack Shea had the courage to say to me, and I know the man loved me, you're never going to be any good at this, but I see this talent in you. Because of that, it changed my life. It helped me to be successful at something that branched out into academics, and it branched out into other things that I did. It required enormous work on my part, and diligence and persistence and running. But that kind of individual is the type of person I think all of us should be. Our employees are talented beyond our knowledge, but sometimes we get a glimmer of how talented they are and what they could be, and we need to have the courage as leaders to tell them so.
That's an awesome story. Thank you for sharing that. Well, it has been a great joy having you on today. Before we leave, why don't you quickly tell people how they can get a hold of you?
I can be reached at henry@canaryspeech.com. Canary is a reference to the canary in the coal mines, an early warning system.
Awesome. All right. This is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast. And for more insights, you can follow us on iTunes or Weaver Business Coaching or on LinkedIn. And we wish you the best success.
Thank you. You take care.